So after I sent out the announcement that hurricane season started yesterday and some of the explanation as to why this season is expected to be worse than normal, actually the second worst combination possible for Enzo, AMO, and PDO, a lot of people ask me, okay, so we know we're more likely to get more storms and more intense storms, but what about where they hit? Well, as a geographer and a hurricane climatologist, I am happy to answer that. I ran an analysis yesterday that looked at all of the hurricane landfalling wind fields that we have on record. So this is mostly in the last 35 years, and compared all years available compared to years that have this specific El Nino AMO PDO combination, and found a couple of hotspots. Now, South Florida is always going to get slammed by hurricanes because that is where they cross into the Gulf often. But the two areas that we see that are really anomalous are the stretch of the Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama coast and the North Carolina coast. Now, just because you're not in one of those areas like South Carolina or north of North Carolina doesn't mean that you're not going to get a bad hurricane. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you're not in the path of multiple bad hurricanes. And sometimes, although these are averages over a limited climatological history, we see terrible storms in years where we shouldn't. If you look at 1997 and 1998, it's considered one of, if not the strongest El Nino event on record, which is typically associated with reduced intensity and activity of hurricanes. But the 1998 season was the second deadliest on record and one of the most expensive. It was actually my first hurricane season living in the South. I was there when Category 4 Hurricane George made landfall and then did a loop-de-loop over the town that I had just moved to from Pennsylvania, which is Pleasant. So these are averages and these are ways that we look at this climate data. But that does not mean that you're safe if you aren't living in one of these hotspots. These are just the areas that are disproportionately prone to hurricane impacts in this type of oceanic and atmospheric combination of cycles. So there's some info. As always, you can subscribe to mesoscalenews.com for $175 a month or $17.50 a year to get either daily or weekly, you can decide how often, updates about hurricane season, international climate news and environmental science, and a lot of political commentary and much more from yours truly. So it's mesoscalenews.com, and you can subscribe for $175 a month.